Hello, everybody, and welcome to United Talks Podcast, your place for all things Manchester United news and everything in between. We're just kind of breaking down everything from all the news that we have, news you can use, new news, old news, everything in between. We will start with like the major ones we have, and then we will branch off into other ones that we can see live and react to them. And you know how we do it on this channel. We basically talk about everything, and then we talk about what's real and what's not, right? But yeah, welcome. If you're joining us for the first time, please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United, everything Manchester United, right? Obviously, we're going to be talking about a few other things, and this week is going to be kind of crucial, especially in the grand scheme of things for Manchester United. The players return to quarantine on Thursday, I believe. Some players are already playing tonight, and tomorrow night they'll play as well. And then it depends. So players are returning on Thursday. But obviously, while the international break is on, which obviously one good thing about this international break is that it's the last one for the year, and there's no international break or interruptions until we have basically until March. So it's going to be very, very busy. We're going to be going back to back to back to back, but yeah, we're here for it. We're here to have fun. So like I said, if you're new, please subscribe so we can just build a community together and have interesting conversations. We'll have times when we'll have fans call in and have conversations as well. So let's keep building, and we're trying to reach a milestone so that we can actually do that or make it happen. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we build momentum towards what we have right in front of us, which is the league and league games, and also the FA Cup, as well as climbing up the table. Now today we're going to be breaking down a couple of things like United's early bid for Adam Wharton, and Crystal Palace's shocking 100 million valuation of Adam Wharton. We'll talk about all that. We'll talk about Nottingham Forest slapping a £100 million price tag on Elliot Anderson. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about Wolves blocking midfield signing, a January midfield signing or January midfield exit for Man United. We'll also talk about Semenyo £65 million release clause that we talked about yesterday, but there's new stuff coming out today and from reputable sources, so we're going to break them down. We're also going to talk about Man United's interest in another Real Madrid player. Right, we'll talk about that one as a successor for a player on Man United's team or in the squad. Then we'll talk about the Cunha Mbeumo partnership. We'll also talk about United's multi-sport expansion with Sir Jim Ratcliffe, which we talked about yesterday, but I think there's some more stuff coming out, but we shall break it down and all of that. So welcome again. It's a massively packed show today, and tonight we're basically peeling back the layers of Manchester United's aggressive, almost push to solve the almost frantic push to solve the midfield imbalance or the midfield problems or the midfield gaps, and the chase for a chase that's colliding head on with a ludicrous price tag and a new transfer strategy under Ruben Amorim. We also have surprise early bid for the English gifted midfielder, or England's most gifted young midfielder. We also have the incredible news that one of United's top targets is now valued at around £100 million, and official claims that the club has agreed to a revolutionary venture into professional basketball, which we talked about yesterday, but we've seen more stuff come out. Yesterday was kind of like somebody from Italy just said it, and today we're just kind of going to break it down because that is what we have at the very moment. So join us as we break these things down and continue to, have these conversations, right? Now, the thing is, this is the Ratcliffe era, and it is a chaotic one, albeit, but utterly compelling. So let's dive right into the engine room with United making its move. We will talk about the midfield interests, but there's an alternative to the midfield interest that we have, which is Elliot Anderson, right? If the price is too steep, United have two other targets, and obviously the news on on one of them is the the equally jaw-dropping price tag on this player. Nottingham Forest, Elliot Anderson is another prime target, but United's pursuit has suffered a huge blow. So Anderson blow, because Forest have signed Anderson for a reasonable fee of £15 million last year. I think I heard it was £15 million or something around £23 million from Newcastle. They are now demanding a fee in the excess of £100 million after add-ons, according to the club owner Evangelos Marinakis. I've said this time and again, Marinakis is very hard to do business with. He's very tough. He's a tough person. So it'll be interesting to see where Man United go from here with all of this. But yeah, Evangelos Marinakis is slapping £100 million price tag. I had a conversation with a Man United, a Nottingham Forest fan on a channel, I think on Stretford Post. 2 or 3 weeks ago or thereabout. And the Forest fan said, nah, Anderson is not going anywhere. And Anderson is just 23, just on 23, 8th of November. So it's like pretty interesting to see where Man United go from here. It's pretty interesting to see how Man United approach this. It's pretty interesting to see what, will go on with this one. But I'm thinking basically for the Anderson one, that it's never going to happen in January, so we might have to look for other alternatives. Furthermore, Forest has also categorically ruled out a January sale, forcing United to wait until the summer. So we will now be stuck between choosing Anderson or Baleba, which is the one that has been going on for now, and there's also Angelo Stiller. I'm probably going to call on my friend from Real United Talk Show to have a conversation about this and kind of like talk about the midfielders and all of that. There's Baleba, there's Angelo Stiller, there's Anderson, there is even Gomes, which we'll talk about later in this one. There's loads of midfielders that Man United are interested in, especially with their roles and the way they play. Now, what do you guys think? Because this situation of Elliot Anderson being ruled out for a January move has created kind of like a bottleneck, right? United must actually decide if they want to break the transfer caution for a play like Wharton in January for potentially £100 million, or do they wait till the summer for Anderson, potentially only to pay the same astronomical fee? Amarim's desire to strengthen the midfield is forcing the club into uncomfortable financial territory as they deal with a market that values young English talents at an absurd premium. And it's what everybody knows this goes on when it comes to Manchester United. There is the United tax that goes on. When if Manchester United is interested in a player, there's a United tax going on in that deal and all of that. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in this one. It's pretty interesting to see where this goes from here, but we're going to continue to evolve, we're going to continue to build, we're going to continue to grow together. So yeah, now before we get to the Adam Wharton one, we will talk about the partnership between Cunha and Mbeumo. Now let's shift our focus to the attack, where United has invested heavily. We are getting positive insights into partnership between two of the major summer signings, Bryan Mbeumo and Mateusz Cunha. Now, the attacking overhaul, which also included Benjamin Sesko, was designed to give United a different, more mobile front line. Mbeumo, somewhere around £70 million from Brentford, has been an instant hit, like plug and play, straight up, like the guy's just going. Wow. And he's actually notched 5 goals and 1 assist in 11 top flight appearances and won a treble of individual prizes in October, including the Premier League Player of the Month. Now, Mateusz Cunha, while perhaps not matching Mbeumo's goal-scoring output with just 1 goal in 11 league matches, has appeared. So, before we go into this one, Cunha missed like 3 games or so, so it probably been like 8 or 9 league matches because he was injured, and it's those games that we kind of lost. I think we lost. Okay, we didn't lose to Brentford because he was there. We lost to Man City, he was not there. We won Chelsea, he was not there. So yeah, it is what it is. I think Fulham too as well. So yeah, Mateusz Cunha has not matched Mbeumo's goal scoring record, but he just got 1 goal in those number of games. Perhaps it has revealed that his true feelings about playing alongside the Cameroonian star. He has revealed his true feelings about playing alongside Cameroonian star. Cunha, a £62.5 million signing from Wolves, described Mbeumo as incredible, like what a player. This was, I think, one of the walkings where he was after Mbeumo had won the Player of the Month, and then basically he was not asked by a United media team, like, what do you think about Mbeumo, and he says, incredible, what a player. This high praise underscores the sense of synergy and belief within the new attacking unit, even as Amorim's system demands time to fully click. Cunha versus Mbeumo by numbers. We're going to run the numbers a little bit before we quickly move on to the next thing. Looking at the key stats here for Cunha and Mbeumo, in their Premier League performances, we see two very, very different players fulfilling distinct roles in this 3-4-3 system. With regards to goals, Mbeumo has 5, Cunha has 1. With regards to assists, Mbeumo has 1, Cunha has nothing, no assist. But shots on goal, Cunha has 16, Mbeumo has 20. Average scorer points per game, 0.17 for Cunha, 0.67 for Mbeumo. Then shots on goal and shots goal ratios around 33.85 for Cunha and 15.63 for Mbeumo percent. Then interceptions, you have 15 for Cunha and 12 for Mbeumo. Then ground duels won, we have 33.33 for Cunha and 39.62 for Mbeumo. So Mbeumo is really, really doing amazingly well in this, in this squad and in this lineup and all of that. So the numbers clearly show that Mbeumo is a clinical goal threat. Basically, with Cunha, the grafter and the link-up player, excelling in defensive actions and ball progression, making him a constant threat even without the goals. The foundation for a successful front line is there, but Cunha will be expected to increase his output pretty soon, and everybody's going to be expecting that. Obviously, nobody's going to be like thinking twice or trying to worry about whether Cunha will deliver or not. He's definitely going to deliver. So we just have to be patient as Man United fans and try to build that momentum and try to grow with this team and expect that obviously the team is going to deliver, right? So yeah, basically that is what it is. Cunha respects Mbeumo and Mbeumo respects Cunha, and that is what it is. We don't need to even pit them against each other to try to see who's better or what we can do and all of that. So we're going to go into another battle of midfielders that Man United want to sign, and we're going to talk about a player that has been touted to be a replacement for Casemiro, and that is more of us going down the route of trying to create a scenario where we want to sign a player from a club that we signed a player that we signed Casemiro from. The battle for a long-term defensive midfield is actually leading United to arguably the most ambitious target of all, and that is Real Madrid's Aurelian Tchouaméni. Now, with Casemiro unlikely to accept the club's offer of a drastic salary reduction, a plan designed to cut his hefty £350,000 a week wages down to around £130,000 a week, United is actively hunting for a replacement, and that is the rumor we have. Tchouaméni is reportedly Amorim's preferred option and is viewed as the perfect long-term heir to the defensive midfield role. The 25-year-old, now we'll talk about the age because the age is kind of ripe. The age is kind of ripe, especially the right profile for players that Man United want to sign. So we have to think about it from that perspective, and the fact that United will be thinking about, we'll be thinking about trying to replace a midfielder, especially for a long term. So basically, if you get him at 25, he probably will be hitting his prime at 26, 27. And then just like we signed Cunha and Mbeumo, and then we can definitely have a situation where we have that midfield, especially defensive midfield cover, settled for the longest time. Now, the 25-year-old French international is a versatile and dominant holding player that has excelled under Xabi Alonso at the Bernabeu. This guy has played centre-back, defensive midfield, attacking midfield, central midfield. And I talked about him yesterday, but he's the kind of player that you see that basically he fits the build. He's like that Pogba-esque player, but a bit more defensive. He has the flair. He has a shot from outside the box. He can score. He can block. He can defend. He can tackle. He's very aggressive. He knows how to hold the ball. He's just everything. A combative midfielder, a high-class Real Madrid-style kind of midfielder. It's just that over the last couple of years, he's been forced to play defense as a centre-back and stuff, so he hasn't really hit his true potential. But guess what? Those were his formative years. We're talking his 21, 22, 23, when he was a hot prospect, and Mane were super interested in him that we didn't get him, including someone like Camavinga, right? And those are players we're looking at that we didn't get. So now, looking at the situation of things, Mane could be interested in 25-year-old French international, a versatile, dominating, holding player, Aurelien Tchouaméni. However, Real Madrid's stance is firm. They have no intention of listening to any offers. Now, Tchouaméni is contracted until 2028, so most likely this season or next season they'll review his contract, and he's seen as an undisputed leader of the Real Madrid midfield and is not reported to be one of the disgruntled stars under Alonso. Real Madrid would only entertain a sale if the player actively requests a departure, and that is going to be very tricky because it will be a move of the season, of the year, of the summer, or whatever window, if Mane can actually pull off Tchouaméni, and that is basically a far-reaching rumor that has just basically been put in the press. I feel like the rumor has been put in the press so that Man United can actually and then obviously Mane's name thrown in the hat so that he can engineer a contract renewal, but we will see. Yeah, this transfer is poised to cost United around 80 to 88 million pounds, and that is super interesting. But the club is prioritizing the player's profile over the difficulty of the deal. If they can't persuade Casemiro to take a massive pay cut and they can't land Wharton or Anderson, the desperate need for a top-tier defensive midfielder will keep the Tchouaméni dream alive. For me, I don't know. I don't think we're going to go for Tchouaméni. I don't think we're even in for him. It's just a rumor. They're just throwing it out there and putting in an opinion piece because obviously his contract is up in 2 years. And by next year, he'll probably be trying to, that's 2026, you start talking about contract renewal. And once Man United is thrown in the hat, contract renewal happens, and then his pay rises up and all of that. So it's one of those things you have to just think about and say to yourself, you know what, this is not going to happen. And all of that. So, yeah. We will talk about more of it because obviously Man United seem to have submitted a bid for Adam Wharton, and we'll talk about that very shortly. Now, the unlikely swing of things, that's basically about Semenyo, like more details that we found out about Semenyo, other than the fact that he has he's of interest to Man United, but then we also found out yesterday that Man United was not really interested in him, but we shall break it down. So let's visit the £65 million January release clause on Antoine Semenyo. This is a player who has been on United's radar for years. That is what we kind of discovered even yesterday as well. The club was first spotted scouting Semenyo back in 2018 when he was on loan at League 2 Newport County, right? Brian Tinnion, Bristol City's loan manager at the time, even confirmed that a Manchester United scout was watching him. The fact that United has a full scouting profile on Semenyo means that if the injury crisis deepens, activating his £65 million clause in January would be a fast, informed decision. But then you have to think about it from the perspective, because I always bring up our perspectives. You have to think about the perspective of how realistic this deal is going to be. Like, instead of pulling off a £65 million deal for Antoine Semenyo, we could pull off a £40 million or £44 million deal for another player that, can fit the bill, basically, and can plug and play, especially if the person is Premier League proven. Now, interestingly, reports suggest that Semenyo's incredible work rate and profile mean that he could be tested as a left wing back in Amorim's 3-4-2-1 formation. And that is a very far cry from what is actually obtainable in this club. And Casemiro cannot play left wing back. He's more of an attacking player. So it's just a wild take and probably an opinion piece. But with Diogo Dalot underperforming in that role, and the versatile Ghanaian could actually provide an immediate fix at both attack and wing back, proving his value for far beyond a typical forward. He is a forward. He is your inside 10. Semenyo is not a wing back. He could play as a winger, but he is your inside 10. He's actually grown in stature and is so big, can hold up play, can link play, can drive with the ball forward, can pull players along with him and all of that. So these are all of the things that you have to just look at before you kind of just, make this kind of like claim that Man United could be interested. We're not interested. I've even seen other content creators who are actually in the know to just kind of tell you basically we're not interested in Semenyo. When we're interested in Semenyo, the real people will report it. But we must also basically talk about it because obviously there is so much news surrounding this player, right? There's so much news surrounding this player. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And there's also another news I want to bring to you, but we'll talk about it later. Like, we'll talk about it as one of those news where people just want to make things up, not particularly making things up, but just kind of like trying to put two and two together. That's a better way to put it. So yeah, it is what it is. So basically, we move on to other things. We'll talk about the so far we've talked about Nottingham Forest slapping £100 million price tag on Elliot Anderson. We've talked about we've not talked about the Wolves blocking Joao Gomes' January exit. That one is pending. We're going to get to that now quickly. But before that, let's talk about this new venture that Manchester United want to try. It's called a slam dunk. I called it the slam dunk move. Massive announcement that proves that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's revolution, get my words out, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's revolution extends far beyond the football pitch. Man United has reportedly, which we talked about yesterday, agreed to field a team in the upcoming NBA Europe League. This move is in an attempt to diversify revenue and capitalize on the growing global appeal of basketball. Now, the league, set to launch in October 2027, will feature 10 to 16 permanent franchises in the major European cities like Manchester. Gianni Petrucci, I talked about him yesterday, the president of the Italian Basketball Federation, stated that United has already said yes, using the club's agreement as proof for the project's massive potential. Now, the reason for the NBA's push is simple. The numbers are staggering. The global sports market is valued at around $50 billion dollars rather. But European basketball only guarantees £200 million or $1 million commercially. Now, the NBA aims to close this enormous commercial gap. So there's a 50 billion market, but European basketball is only guaranteeing £200 million. But yeah, for United, this is not entirely new territory because previously Man United owned a successful basketball side in the 1980s. The multi-sports institution model is already used by rivals like Real Madrid and Barcelona and fits perfectly with the Ratcliffe philosophy of modernization and income generation. The goal is clear: utilize the world's most popular football team to create a profitable, entertaining multi-sport brand. As things pan out, we will tell you, whatever the case it is, we will also tell you it's unbelievable. It's an unbelievable move, turning one of the biggest names in world football into a true global sports entity. Now, we'll talk about this one, where Joao Gomes is a talk of today, basically. And this is the nature of United's transfer strategy. With targets like Joao Gomes, We talked about Antoine Semenyo, but now there is going to be a block on Joao Gomes, basically. A block. Man United and Tottenham have suffered a significant blow in their pursuit for Wolves midfielder and mainstay Joao Gomes. Wolves are reportedly set to block a January exit for the Brazilian, having promised new manager Rob Edwards that they won't sell any of their prominent figures in the middle of the season. Right? This immediately removes one out of Amorim's primary target in midfield, defensive target in midfield, defensive midfield targets or defensive midfield options for the winter window. Both United and Spurs will have to wait until the summer, where Gomez's departure might become almost certain. And if Wolves face relegation, the relegation clauses in his contract will automatically be activated. That is what it is. Well, if he decides to leave Wolves, his contract, his exit clause will be activated. Now, we're going to talk about the midfield blades. Man United have been criticized heavily this season for their midfield. That is what the media, the press, and everybody is saying. We've been criticized heavily for our midfield, for who we have in mid and stuff. But the partnership of Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes is consistently described as unreliable, right, against top Premier League teams, and the need for a dynamic, progressive holding player is the club's #1 priority. We talked about this yesterday, but that's pretty much what they want to put out there, and it's all important for all of us to kind of understand and know what we're doing. The major offensive is the battle for Crystal Palace's 21-year-old Adam Wharton. At 21, this is like super interesting to see basically where Man United will be heading with this one. It'll be super interesting to see because this guy is pretty young, and I didn't even realize he's 21. I realized he's 21, but I didn't think about it from this way, where Man United could be interested, and basically that interest could lead us into getting a player of this caliber, where he's going to have a higher ceiling, he's going to grow, he's going to evolve with this team, and he's not even hit his peak and he's already playing like a mature player. And United has reportedly submitted, according to Indicala, and I'll say this again, Indicala always drops some kind of things like you tend to ask yourself, what is the way forward with this? Indicala reported that Man United have submitted an early bid for the England international in a clear attempt to outpace interest from rivals like Liverpool. And Adam Wharton Amorim is said to love the player and believes that he can personally sell the project to Wharton before Liverpool even get a chance to contact him. Wharton is highly prized for his composure and passing ability, traits that are desperately lacking in United's current setup, which I doubt is the case, because if you look at it, we have players like what's his name? You have players like Bruno Fernandes, scoring hat-tricks in the international break, showing his passing prowess and passing ability all through basically the games and stuff. And then you come and you tell me that the reason why Man United is looking at Wharton is because we don't have the players. Yeah, Bruno is a deep line playmaker in this team currently, or deep line midfielder, but Adam Wharton can do a better job. No doubt that one we cannot deny that he is a player that can actually make things happen, and a player that can actually build. We can actually build with, right? That's pretty much straightforward, and one of those things we have to talk about, but it is what it is. And one of those things where we have to just accept by ourselves that Adam Wharton can be a potential for Man United, but it's too expensive. But then he's 21, so you're caught in between. You're asking yourself certain questions, and you're like thinking to yourself, does this make sense? But then he's 21, and then if he goes to another club, would have missed a chance. But here's a monumental problem. Crystal Palace values Wharton at over £100 million, and that's where it puts us off our trail. Palace is in a strong position with Wharton's contract running until 2028. So next year, you talk about a review. Reports from other sources suggest that United was initially plotting a £60 million swoop, but the new information indicates that the price being quoted by Palace's hierarchy is well into the 9-figure territory, making this an immediate and incredibly expensive move or expensive battle. So is this one player that that Liverpool will want to put their hands in and talk about and stuff? Yeah, you might ask, oh, what's with this Wharton? Like, what is actually with this Wharton? But in truth, he's a player that's doing really well, especially at Crystal Palace, as he's doing things and stuff. He's a player that's really doing well. So you have to think about it from that perspective. You also think about it from perspective of, he's one player that you can see a great potential in, right? A great potential in. So now, as of October, because we're going way back now to kind of analyze what has happened, clear favorite emerges to sign Adam Wharton as the club prepare bid. This was as of October, and they talked about the odds that Wharton's next club, amid stunning reports claim that the team's preparing a bid. Wharton has started for Crystal Palace in Premier League, and they talked about it. Now his next club odds, so they're already putting odds for his next club. This was as of October: 2-1 for Manchester United, 4-1 for Liverpool, 7-1 for City, 9-1 for Arsenal, 16-1 for Barcelona, and 25-1 for Bayern Munich. Now, the odds came just days after reports suggest that Manchester United are preparing a £60 million bid. That was what I talked about earlier, that we're actually preparing a £60 million bid for Wharton, though Palace would likely demand more, given the midfielder's ability and potential. Ruben Amorim is hell-bent on signing a midfielder that can accelerate his team's rebuild, with Man United failing in the pursuit of Carlos Baleba, which we'll talk about pretty soon. Wharton is a player who has been identified to fill the position, with Palace owner Steve Parish speaking out on his star player's future. Parish believes that Wharton will want to play Champions League football one day, and reports of a move to Old Trafford. He says, I think that Adam at some point will want to play either in the Champions League with us, if we can make that happen, or possibly at another club. This is what he told TalkSport. Then he also said basically that he is an extraordinary talent, right? So he's an extraordinary talent, and I think right now, and I think he's an extraordinary talent, and I think right now, I can't speak for Adam, but I think he's focused on his time at Palace, right? Asked about the links and the switch to Manchester United, Parish added, if Manchester United want Adam, that's nothing surprising to basically really want the guy, and not surprising also from the player. But the fact of the matter is this, according to Steve Parish, that he's got a long contract to run. There's no pressure on us to do it, and I don't think there's any real pressure from the player either. Wharton has made 50 appearances for Crystal Palace as at the time of this report, and across all competitions has developed his side, has helped his side to the FA Cup glory last season, right? So yeah, it's all on us to think about it and kind of know what we're doing. And then we're going to talk about another player. Just give me one quick second. Now, this is as of 2 days ago. 2 days ago, Man United plot ambitious swoop that would win the transfer market. That's a way to kind of win the transfer window instantly. Man United are reportedly targeting hugely ambitious transfers that could transform their team. Man United are planning one of the most ambitious transfer swoops in recent history, reports claim. The Red Devils were extremely active in the summer as they spent £250 million to sign Cunha Mbeumo, Šeško, Diogo Leon, and Senna Lomans. But they were linked with a move for a new holding midfielder in Carlos Baleba of Brighton. But however, the Seagulls wanted £100 million for the Cameroonian international, and no such deal happened. Clearly, the position is still one in which United want to strengthen in, with persistent links to England international Adam Wharton and Elliot Anderson. But according to a report from Defensa Central via Football Talk, United made Real Madrid midfielder Aurelien Tchouaméni a priority. And I've given you my thoughts on Aurelien Tchouaméni. We've talked about it in a move that highlights his improved run of form. United want to renew the contract of Casemiro, a £70 million signing from Real Madrid 2022, but the 33-year-old previously looked nailed on to depart Old Trafford and is contracted until 25-26 season, which is I think the end of 25-26 season, so the end of this season, right? Now, United do have the option to extend the contract, but want to reduce his hefty wages of around 350 million thousand pounds a week, rather. The report also notes that United want to pay around 130 million. 130,000 that I said earlier, but Tchouaméni is a man that United see as a perfect fit if United cannot come to an agreement with Casemiro, though the Frenchman is poised to cost around 80 million pounds, and Real Madrid reportedly have no intention of listening to any offer. Like I said, it will be a huge coup to pull off this Tchouaméni deal, a huge transfer, deal to pull off Tchouaméni and all of that. So I mean, we will continue to observe and watch how things pan out and everything in between. So yeah, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. We can always talk about these things and we can always build momentum and evolve like that. So yeah, as I said, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Now, Manchester United target. Manchester United latest post divides. Carlos Baleba. So this is something I wanted to bring to you guys a few minutes ago. But Carlos Baleba's latest post divides Man United fans ahead of a potential January move. Manchester United target Carlos Baleba has sent social media into overdrive following his post online ahead of the potential January transfer. Basically, the latest transfer window opens in January. Man United could delve into the market strength. Now, let's talk about this transfer window. You see reports come out that Man United will not be interested in signing a player in January. And then you see also reports come out that say Man United is interested in signing the player in January with regards to a move for players like Carlos Baleba and stuff. And then you start to think. I know that Jason Wilcox said something. He said, obviously, that that there is an intention by Man United to sign players, but we have to also look at the character, we have to judge the character, we have to look at the right profile of players, and we don't want to get the short-term signing. I brought to you a video a few days ago, no panic deals. So we don't want to do any short-term deals. We want to do deals that we know for a fact that obviously these players are going to want to stay, these players are going to want to do a job at Man United, these players are going to want to make things happen at the club. So it will be interesting to see where this takes off from, like where this heads to in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, it is what it is. Manchester United target posted something on social media. Like I said, Renan is hell bent on getting a new central midfielder. Several names have been on United's radar, including Nottingham Forest star Elliot Anderson and Stuttgart's Angelo Stiller. Then not to mention Baleba, who was the subject of a reported bid for Man United in the summer, of which I know from what we heard from resources that bid never happened. It got fans talking about Brighton's fixture got fans talking ahead of Brighton's fixture at Old Trafford last month, but they could also reignite their pursuit for Baleba in January, having kept tabs on the player. Now, they had kept tabs on the player since the summer. Now, My United fans online don't want the club to sign him after spotting his latest post on social media. And the truth is, I don't think the club cares about what you're going to say when this Carlos Baleba thing, starts to happen. Nobody's gonna care about what you have to say. But Man United fans, they have very interesting preferences on the kind of players they want to get, on the kind of players they want to involve themselves in, and all of that. So it's pretty interesting to see where Man United heads with this one and all of that. So yeah, just let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we continue to build, as we continue to have conversations, as we continue to talk about Elliot Anderson, players like Carlos Baleba, and everything in between. So just let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Let's continue to build momentum and continue to talk about players like these. So now, this is the reason why Man United fans don't want Carlos Baleba. Baleba shared a post of Chelsea's Joao Pedro accompanied with a philosophical message. It read, "Don't try rush what God is taking time to prepare." I'm like, okay, so I can see the post here. He posted this guy and then Joao Pedro. And Joao Pedro is his former teammate. So why are we making a big deal out of this? Basically, Carlos Baleba's social media post got Manchester United fans talking. Baleba's post alerted Man United fans as they made their feelings known. On one ex-user wrote that he is doing the Garnacho gimmick. I don't like him anymore. Okay, I don't like him anymore. I don't want him at United. Anderson is much better. Is a much better option. You guys just want to make things really hard. You guys just want to make things really like tough on yourselves. Like, I don't think it is necessary to actually start stressing yourself over this guy. Then the second tweeted, "This guy has some red flags. Don't sign him." Like, Man United fans, this fan base are pretty interesting people. A third one tweeted, he's not the personality we need at Man United unless it's for 20 million. It's so funny to see. A fourth, however, agreed, "Don't think too much about this." As I said, don't make a big deal out of this, right? Baleba, who cost Brighton £23 million from Lille in the summer of 2023, shone last season, but made a slow start to the new campaign. But now this is key. But the 21-year-old, this is actually absolutely key. The 21-year-old, I'm saying it again. The 21-year-old looked back to his best in his side win over Newcastle last month, with his performance impressing Brighton boss Florian Hertzler. Hertzler said, "I saw Carlos Baleba who stepped up. These are good actions and good behaviors he showed, but he has to make habits out of those good behaviors. And that is the next step in his development to bring consistency to his performance." Pretty interesting to see. But Man United fans, I don't know, they want to be patient with this guy. And I've seen some legit stuff, like my good friend Sal from the Stratford Post said something about, would it be a good thing that Manchester United would go for a player who is down in tools? Is it a good thing based on character? But obviously, we all know that they do a lot of sports psychology, sports analysis and stuff. So in the back end, and basically they might want to try and get the player for a good price and also watch his attitude and character. He was criticizing, Sam was actually criticizing the fact that some Man United fans basically just go out there and they talk, and some Man United fans go out there and they say stuff like, oh, like he's deliberately down in tools, or he's deliberately playing so that he can drive down the price. I mean, for us as United fans, we don't like take things in deep, and I agree with Sal on that situation and all that. But yeah, he's had a slow start, and I guess the pressure of being linked to Man United has kind of gotten to him and stuff. And we talked about the news yesterday about Munoz, and I said to you that news was a bit off because they called him a Spanish midfielder, meanwhile he's from Colombia, saying that he was that Daniel Munoz named United as one of his dream clubs to play for, along with the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah, but it is what it is. That's Daniel Munoz for you. As of 3 days ago, there is news that Ruben Amorim blocks Man United player from leaving the club with 2-word message. The player in question is currently down the pecking order at Old Trafford. it feels like I already know where this is headed, but we're going to talk about it anyway. We are going to talk about it anyway. And who is this player? Let's just quickly talk about him and stuff. So, Manchester United head coach Ruben Amorim has reportedly told the player that he will not be allowed to leave the club in January, despite supposedly requesting to move. And the player in question, Amorim headed into November international break, a relieved man with Man United's side, currently on a run of 5 games without defeat. United sits 7th in the Premier League after wins from Sunderland, Liverpool and Brighton, and as well as successive draws against Forest and Spurs. Summer signing Cunha Mbeumo and Cunha and Semenyo have improved his team, with all three performing under Amorim, while fellow recruit Benjamin Sesko has shown glimpses of quality without truly settling into the English football game, which is English football now, which is the fact that basically this guy has not settled. He has not had ample time to actually build momentum, so we can't really say that it's an opportunity for him to kind of he's adapted. He's taking his time to adapt, right? So it's one of those players where you have to just basically just have that in the back of your mind, right? Now, there finally seems to be several reasons for positivity at Old Trafford after what was a dismal opening month to the campaign, where we only lost to Arsenal and shamefully lost to Grimsby Town. But then it's a horrible start. For now, talk of Amorim's departure has wavered, but the same can't be said of one away player who has hardly featured for him. This is the out of favour forward, Joshua Zirkzee. We're going to talk about him now. He made just 4 league appearances out of a possible 11 so far this season, with recent reports suggesting that he's keen on the move, is keen to leave the club in January. Now, since arriving at United from Serie A side Bologna for £36.5 million in 2024, the Netherlands international has registered 7 goals and 3 assists in 54 appearances. Zirkzee has supposedly made it clear that he's keen on the move, whether it be a loan or permanent switch. In January, he still has ambitions of making the Dutch squad ahead of 2026 World Cup. To achieve this, he needs to be playing regular first team football rather than warming the bench like he has been at United. The 24-year-old, who is contracted to United till 2029, has been linked to several clubs across Europe, including West Ham United, Everton and AS Roma, but he may yet be forced to stay at United after all. And that's a fact, basically. That's a fact. The Sun's Samuel Lockhurst claimed that Zirkzee has been told that there is no chance of a departure this winter, with Amorim likely to block the deal due to Mbeumo and Ahmad and Nuzul Mazraoui temporarily all leaving United for up to 4 weeks while they compete at the Africa Cup of Nations, which commences on the 21st of December. So they probably leave around maybe like the 19th or 18th or thereabout, and the final takes place January 18th. So if they go far, obviously Ahmad and Mbeumo, they'll probably not be back. Now, Zirkzee has not started a game for United since April, and will be hopeful that his teammate absences will result in some game time for him. Now, let's talk about the Zirkzee thing, because I've had a conversation with somebody online. Probably would look to featuring him so we can have the conversation, because he seems to have some good insights and some good conversations when it comes to talking about players like Joshua Zirkzee. Now, when it comes to Zirkzee, we can all talk about how interesting he is and what he can do, for the club and all of that. Now, with Zirkzee, I feel like he's still got time. I feel like he's still got time to show what he's made of. I feel like he's still got time to show that he can actually deliver. I feel like he's still got time that he's gonna play. He's gonna play a lot of games. Let's not stress about it. Let's just kind of give him a chance to actually pull it off and deliver. I hope and believe that Ruben Amorim will give him time as well, because it's really hard to actually kind of expect that Joshua Zirkzee is going to deliver at Man United, seeing as Ruben Amorim doesn't seem to want to give him time, or doesn't seem to want to give him game time. But I believe that Joshua Zirkzee will turn up. It's hard to accept, it's hard to take, but I believe that Joshua Zirkzee will turn up when he's given the opportunity to. Ruben Amorim sees him as one of the 10s, but obviously Man United needs a striker. And also, you look at what we have available. Benjamin Sesko is injured, and he'll be out for like 4 weeks. And I was having this conversation with this guy, and I thought to myself, Ruben Amorim might play him. But then you think about it again, he might want to play Mount, he might want to play Mount, Mbeumo, Cunha to play together, which has happened before, so it can happen again. He might want to play Bruno, Cunha, Mbeumo. That can also work as well. And then you find someone in the midfield, and that will probably be Kobbie Mainoo. You might also want to play even a combination of Mbeumo, Mainoo, and Cunha. You could also have Mbeumo, Amad. These are players that will play ahead of the African Cup of Nations. Then you can also have a situation where you play Mbeumo, Cunha, Mainoo, Mbeumo, Amad, Cunha, Mount, Cunha, Amad, Mount, Cunha, Mbeumo, Mount, Cunha, and Bruno. So these are players that can play. But then if you throw Zirkzee in the mix, then you have a player that cannot be controlled by defenders. A player that is very technical, that can even allow for an opportunity to actually, thrive in this team. So I'm looking at a situation where Cunha, Zirkzee, Bruno. So Zirkzee, in the absence of Mbeumo, right? So you have Zirkzee up top, you have Cunha and Bruno in the mid, in the 2 10s, and then when the opportunity comes, or when the opportunity arises, Zirkzee drops deep to receive the ball while Cunha goes and makes the long run. And definitely, this guy, what's his name? Zirkzee will find them. Then you have Bruno who's coming deep as well, trying to stretch the field. And Amorim's 2 10s, there's an opportunity for them to either stretch the field or come deep, and that's what Cunha's role is in the team. Cunha drops deep, right, while the others stretch the field. So Cunha drops deep, Mount stretches the field, or Cunha drops deep, Bruno stretches the field, Cunha drops deep, or Cunha stretches the field on the left side, and Bruno, Mbeumo, or Mount, or whoever drops deep to receive the ball and carry them forward. And Zirkzee has shown that he can actually carry the ball forward. So it will be very interesting to see how this pans out. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we build momentum towards all of the news that we have and all of that. So I feel very sad that Zirkzee hasn't gotten playing time, but I believe he's going to get enough time. I still have confidence that he's going to get enough time to play for Manchester United. Then this was from a couple days ago. Manchester United's favorite to sign Dortmund star as huge swap deal emerges. We talked about this, and we talked about it from the perspective of Karim Adeyemi. Now, Karim Adeyemi is of interest to Man United, and this is according to James Taylor of the Sports Bible. But he's also quoting other reports. Man United have emerged as favourites to sign a Borussia Dortmund star with a potentially huge swap deal on the cards. United have been busy in transfer market since Ruben Amorim arrived more than 12 months ago. Patrick Dogu was the only addition in January window, but four first team players arrived during the summer. It's quite wild to know that Patrick Dogu joined Man United in the January window, and basically he just played half a season, right? Then my fans like they expect him to be like a beast of a centre back. A left wing back. They expect him to be like that player that kind of will do like amazing things, like he's supposed to be, like delivering almost immediately. But Dogu is still young. He just turned 21. He's still growing. He's evolving. He's one player that obviously people are gonna like. He was involved in a goal in the week or in the weekend for Denmark. I think they're going to be playing today. Let's see what the scoreline is for that one. They've probably started, and then after that we'll talk about the Benjamin Sesko injury and any updates that we have on that, because we have an update. So far these are the scorelines. Kosovo is playing 1-1. Kosovo is coming up with the goods, man. Kosovo is playing 1-1 with Switzerland, but on the table they are pretty much anything can happen. Kosovo is already going to the playoffs because they have 11 points. Slovenia obviously unfortunately are drawing. They have 11 points. Wow. And they were last before. Now Sweden. Sweet guys, this is the Sweden squad that is playing against, just give me one quick second. Sweden are playing Slovenia 1-1. This is the squad that is facing Slovenia. Just looking at the lineup, right? And they just scored in the 88th minute. Slovenia was leading for a long time, for the longest time. Even if Slovenia had won, they wouldn't have qualified. Rooney Badji is there. Lightberg is there. And on their bench, they have Alexander Isak. And Sweden is not going to the World Cup. Lindelof is there, just came off at the 84th minute for Gustav Lagerbeek. Yeah. And I think Elanga is supposed to be playing, but I think also Elanga is not on the bench. Probably is injured. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. So back to the scorelines. The scorelines as of today, you know, for all the Euro games going on, we will tell you. Just give us a quick second. Now, Kosovo is playing 1-1 with Switzerland. Sweden 1-1 with Slovenia. So Kosovo and Switzerland are going to be Switzerland's going and Kosovo is going to the playoff. Belarus and Greece 0-0. Scotland and Denmark, with Denmark having a red card, Højlund scoring a pen, Dogu scoring in the 82nd. We just talked about Dogu. Scotland are playing 2-2 with Denmark. McTominay scored in the 4th minute, and Shankland scored in the 79th minute. And Scotland made it, Dogu made it 2-2. Well, I'm gonna have to watch that highlight. Denmark were in full throttle, 74% to 26% ball possession. Bro, that's a whole lot. But yeah, Dogu scored today. And then if you look at the table, at this point, Denmark automatically qualifies today, and Scotland goes to the playoff. Wow. Unless Scotland win, and if Scotland win, they'll push Denmark to the playoff. Because if Scotland wins, Scotland goes to 14 points, and Denmark goes to 12 points. They stay on 12 points. But if Denmark wins, Denmark goes to 14 points, and Scotland stays on 10 points, and still go to the playoffs. Right. Both teams coming into this game were really, really, really on form. Denmark had 3 wins and 2 draws. Scotland had 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss before that. So it's pretty interesting. Now Denmark has a red card in the 62nd minute. Yet Dogu scored. So we'll watch that. We'll talk about it in the next when the next time we'll come live tomorrow, I believe. Yeah. Yes, I saw. And then let's go. Other scorelines: Bulgaria has beaten Georgia 2-0. Spain and Turkey. Spain and Turkey 2-2. You look at the lineup for that. I'm trying to check if Brander is there. Brander is in net. Ha! Okay. Okay. Because I thought they were going to use Ugukan Chekir, but they didn't use him. They used Bander, and then they have Matt Gunyok. But they went to Bander. He's currently rated, according to FOCMOB, he's currently rated 6.3. It's pretty interesting to see Spain and Turkey. Now let's look at their if Turkey wins, Turkey goes to with extra 2 points. Oh, they still remain second. If Spain wins, Spain automatically qualify. But at this point, Spain is automatically qualifying for the World Cup, and Turkey will go to the playoffs. It's one of the games we need to just basically. Will be interesting to see anyway. So that's, by the way, Georgia and Bulgaria playing each other and they're out. Georgia just scored. Bulgaria 2, Georgia 1. Austria and Bosnia-Herzegovina. That's another team I was watching, checking out their progress. The highest scorer seems to be Marko Arnautovic. Austria and Bosnia are already going through, basically, with Romania beating San Marino 7-1. And Romania, no matter what they do, they're still not going to get through, because Bosnia, even if Bosnia lose, they'll be 16 points. And then, but if Bosnia wins or draws, if Bosnia draws, Austria go through. If Bosnia lose, Austria go through. If Bosnia wins, then it goes different and Austria to go through. Yeah, it's crazy. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much on the side note with regards to that. We're talking about Man United wanting to sign Karim Adeyemi, basically. Now, basically, we signed Cunha Mbeumo, Shesko, and all of that. They always talk about that, but no, it's not Karim Adeyemi. This one, I talked about it a few days ago, and I said, do we need him? And I've seen other content creators online kind of do an analysis on this, and it looks like it makes a lot of sense when you think about it in grand scheme of things, considering where Man United is going and where the rebuild is at the moment. Yeah. Now, the club is currently expected to be busy in the upcoming transfer window as Ineos continue their rebuild of the playing squad. Central midfielders and defenders are believed to be priority for the 2026, with shortlists already being drawn up at Old Trafford. One of the names that have emerged as a potential defensive target is Borussia Dortmund centre-back Nico Schlotterbeck. Now, the German international joined Dortmund in 2022, but with his contract running until 2027, which means he's going to be reviewing it next year, 2026, speculation has grown that he could seek a move next year. According to Spanish outlet Fichajes, which I always talk about every time he brings up this wild takes and stuff, it just kind of makes you think twice about saying things. Fichajes. United have taken the lead in the race to sign Schlotterbeck. That is what Fichajes has said. Report adds that United admires ability on the ball and view him as a player who could help reduce the age of the backline. Obviously, Luke Shaw is 30 or 31. You have Maguire, 33. You have De Ligt, who is 25, going to be 26 pretty soon. And then, how does it reduce the age? Maybe Shaw and Maguire maybe going. But when you look at what we have, look, Shaw, Maguire, then all the rest are young players. De Ligt, Euro, and Heaven, right? So if you say that, and Martinez is going to be 27, I believe. So if you say that, maybe this makes sense. I've looked at other content creators and what they had to say about this, and actually, it kind of makes sense. So let's talk about it. United, over the past year, the club have said that they remain on the brink or the risk breaching the Premier League's profit and sustainability rule. Despite that, spending £200 million during the summer, PSR limitations are expected to play a key role in shaping the transfer activity next year. As a result, swap deals could become an appealing strategy for United. One player who has been linked to the move away from Old Trafford in recent months is England international Casemiro. Okay. The midfielder asked to leave on loan in August and is still yet to start a Premier League game. United in Focus reported during the summer that Borussia Dortmund were one of the clubs monitoring Menu's situation today closely. So it's all up to us for us to make whatever we want to make of this. Menu's contract at United runs until 2027, although the club hold an option to extend it by another year. United's initial contract proposal at the start of 2025 was rejected by the player, and the two parties have moved no closer to an agreement during the summer. This is all rumors. With Menu becoming increasingly frustrated over his limited playing time, a general loan move now appears likely. Antonio Conte's Napoli emerge as a possible destination following the success of Scommantoni and Rasmus Hojlund in Italy. Now, you think about it and you ask yourself a certain question. How does the Nico Schlotterbeck deal link with Kobe Menu? They talked about the swap deal. Now they said maybe it just ended basically on Man United looking at Nico Schlotterbeck, right? He's a left-footed ball-playing midfielder. I've seen analysts online talk about him, talk about how much impact he's going to make, talk about like a situation where he could be doing things for Manchester United, talk about a situation where he could be, making waves and all of that, playing as a left centre-back. They also talked about the fact that he's one player that can play out from the back, and seeing as Luke Shaw is aging, Martinez is might not be the Martinez that we had before he got injured. An ACL injury is not easy to come back from and all of that. I mean, speaking from experience, an ACL injury is definitely not easy to come back from. And then you have to now talk about the situation where Man United can actually make a move for this player. But then he's in Dortmund. He just joined Dortmund 2023, and then there's a chance that there's a chance that Bayern Munich could go for him. That's the thing, because it's Dortmund, German league. They always pick players, and Dortmund always sells to Bayern. So it is what it is. If anything pops up with Nico Schlotterbeck, I think from the stats I've seen, I like him. But if anything pops up from him, I'm just going to talk about it. We're gonna analyze. Now we're going to talk about Benjamin Sesko. We're going to talk about his injury, the update we have, the progress, the potential, and the return for the Man United striker. Right? Ruben Amorim's fear of Sesko's injury problem have proven to be a little overblown, basically. But he's supposed to be scared, because a knee injury is a knee injury. Whether you are, basically, whether it's a small injury, a big injury, whatever the case, a knee injury is a knee injury. And you have to just basically talk about it and, kind of, what would I say, probably analyze it and all of that. But it's a knee injury and you can't take it away from him. Benjamin Sesko's patchy start to them. Okay, because we're reading it, let's analyze. Benjamin Sesko's patchy start to a Man United career has been derailed further by a knee injury, which is expected to keep him out until December. Now, speaking of, this injury, we can actually analyze it from perspective of he probably would be out for 4 weeks, including time to work his way back to fitness. But I think this injury also disrupted his recovery. This injury disrupted his recovery. This injury disrupted his progress as a player. Manchester United. Now, Slovenia International has been Red Devils radar since 2018. That's some history. We talked about him when Man United were interested in him and all of that. But what does this injury What injury does Benjamin Sesko have? We talked about it a couple days ago. Benjamin Sesko is struggling with a knee injury for the first time in his career. The wiry striker has enjoyed a remarkably clean bill of health throughout most of his career, missing just one game across 2 full seasons with RB Leipzig. So he's not always been having injuries, and then this is the first of it. The worst season of Sesko's career injury-wise came during the 21-22 campaign when he was ill when he was still just 18. Growing into his long-limbed frame, the Slovenian forward suffered multiple muscular issues and missed a total of 14 games, and this was like 2 or 3 years ago. But now this is the first time this guy is basically going to be having an injury of this kind, of this type. His current knee problem is not going to be as severe. Now, Benjamin Sesko's injury history and games missed, we're going to talk about that. He had a torn muscle in 2021, and he was out from October 17th, 2021 to November 1, 2021. He missed 4 games. He had a thigh injury November 5, 2021. This was like 4 days later. He had a thigh injury and missed 3 games, November 5th, 2021 to November 19, 2021. Now, he missed just 3 games after that. Then he had a torn muscle from February 6, 2022 to March 7, 2022. He missed 6 games. And now, since 2022, he has not had any injuries from March up until November 2025. So almost 3 years. He's not had any injuries. He had a clean bill of health. Only missed 1 game in that time due to illness and all. Now, he's having a knee injury, and it started November 8th. So we shall observe. Now, when will Benjamin Sesko return from injury? That's the big question, right? Everybody wants to know that. Now, the timeline for Sesko's recovery has been placed at between 3 to 5 weeks, according to The Athletic. Given the grave nature of Amorim's initial verdict, this is a mercifully short layoff. Amorim was worried that it was an injury, but was scared for him, because basically he thought maybe the player might, the injury might be worse, considering that Amorim has been a player and understands what it means for one to have a knee injury. Now, basically, the timeline was put around 3 to 5 weeks, but based on the reported return schedule, United should be able to call upon 85 million euros, that's 4.5 million pounds. They have to mention his price tag. These guys, well, summer signing at some point in December, and if it takes the full 5 weeks, Sesko could be in contention to feature against Bournemouth on December 15th. So second week of December. Now, given the compressed nature of the festive calendar, the Slovenia, they keep calling him different names. Now the new one is the springy Slovenian forward. Could still miss up to 4 matches. However, he should be back available for United before United's fleet of African Cup. Before United's fleet of African internationals depart for AFCON at the end of December. So the games that Benjamin Sesko could potentially miss are Premier League games, obviously. Why I mentioned Premier League is because of the FA Cup that's coming as well. You have Everton, he misses that on Monday, November 24th. You have Crystal Palace, he misses that on November 30, which is 6 days later or 7 days later, as the case may be. He misses that. Then you have West Ham, he misses that December 4th. Then you have Wolves, he misses that December 8th, 4 days later. So Thursday, he misses Monday, Sunday, Thursday, Monday. So it is what it is. We eventually will now have a Thursday football again. So yeah. What do you guys think about that one? The update to Sesko's injuries, it's going to be out for like 4 to 5 weeks, and if he misses that, he's going to miss. And then potentially after that, he potentially would miss the Aston Villa game, if I'm not mistaken, because we play Aston Villa after the Wolves game. So yeah, because you look at it again from the perspective of the fact that I always talk about perspectives, right? Look at it from the perspective of the fact that maybe he misses those 3-4 games and then comes back after the and comes back and then starts to work his fitness way back into fitness, try to check the knee and all that. So that's making it going to be like a 5-week period. So he's going to probably miss 5 weeks. But then these guys would have gone to AFCON. So they say December 15th. So let's put 1 extra week. And then he probably would come back just when these guys have left to AFCON. So, because AFCON starts on the 21st, right? So they leave like on the 18th. It probably would be around that time. So that's pretty much basically the update on the Šeško situation and the Šeško injury. Yeah, it is what it is. It will be interesting to see. We're going to observe that and we're going to let you know as things pan out. So thank you so much for joining. We're going to do another video which you're going to see on the channel, but thank you so much for joining. Thanks so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you have not already, please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. If you're watching at this point, please do not forget to hit the notification bell, like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can start to have interesting conversations. You know, you can hit the subscribe button. It's right at the bottom of this, yeah, and then turn on the notification bell as well. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing, and thank you for always supporting the channel. The simplest, easiest way to support the channel is just to like, share, and subscribe. That's what it is. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.